Greetings, this is Christopher Long, and welcome to Conversations, my fossil fuel-driven series in which I find myself chatting with some of the most fascinating people on today's pop culture scene. In this super sassy installment, I'm talking to Misty Marcus, co-founder of the acclaimed Americana combo Black Eyed Soul. We discussed an array of topics, from songwriting and recording to her nutrition-focused YouTube channel and her fascination for John Hughes films. Get ready, fight fans. This episode has Kung Fu grip. On the line, I'm psyched to have celebrated singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist Misty Marcus. Misty, how's every little thing going in Knoxville tonight?
Everything's great in Knoxville, Chris.
Let's start out talking a little bit about rock and roll. Under the Black Eyed Soul banner, along with your musical partner and husband, Andrew Marcus, you've been recording a slew of indie-style, Americana-flavored records for nearly 25 years. Your latest album, Yes, dropped in 2020. If you don't mind, can we take a second and break it down into some little bites?
Absolutely, let's do it.
The opening track, Twilight, for me, as a long-time Black Eyed Soul fan, Twilight represents classic Black Eyed Soul, but it's got a few new flavors. You got some violin going on in that track, but it's a real highlight of the album. What can you tell me about Twilight?
That it reminds me of the Partridge Family, somehow. When that first comes in, something about the feel of the beginning of that song puts me in the 60s. And I see the peacocks. Weren't they peacocks or something? The color peacocks?
Yeah, close enough, I guess.
That brings me back a bit. It makes me sound a little older, which I am. I'm 49. But, yeah, the Partridge Family. And we kind of went a little hard with the book. We kind of went a little bit hard on the backups on that. We might have done 4 parts. And so we're trying to do different stuff. You know, we want the album to move in a way where you have some variety, so.
The last couple of Black Eyed Soul records have been completely you and Andrew doubling up on all of the instruments, correct?
It is, and that is how our new stuff in the last, let's say 6 years, I think it's been since 2016, it's been Andrew and myself only, so we're actually a duo, but we're coming across as a full band, I hope. I actually, in this duo, between Andrew and myself, am doing a lot more producing. So when Andrew records 3 of the 5 main instruments in a song, of course I have to be behind the board and doing the producing part of that.
I spoke to Andrew recently, and he seems to actually be very, very excited about your growing role in the Black Eyed Soul project. So I think you've got a fan with him. You might want to keep him around.
I think I'll keep him around.
Going back to your album, Yes, one of my favorites, the title, Let's Break Up, sort of suggests that the song is probably a heartbreak ballad, but actually in listening to it, it's kind of has a playful vibe to it. Can we talk about that one?
So that song was mostly based on real life events, I hate to say, but it worked out well because we're still together.
But it has such a playful feel to it.
That's what was funny about it is we said, well, we almost broke up, and that is the truth. We did almost break up. But we said, let's turn it into a happy song because everyone can relate to breaking up, of course, or wanting to, but you stay together because you love each other. Plus, it's on an album called Yes. So our whole vibe these days, Chris, is we're trying to get really zen. we're trying to work on our, spiritual growth and meditation and the whole nine, the chakra alignment, you name it. And part of that is turning a negative into a positive, as you know, and manifesting and all of that. So we're like, let's make this record super positive, even in the name. Yes.
Another personal favorite of mine from the record is This Life.
Yeah, that's my favorite track.
That has you on lead vocals.
Yeah, and that's what's surprising is my favorite song is never one that I've sung, because I don't think of myself as a singer, and I probably need voice lessons or some kind of lesson. But that's my favorite track of the whole album, I have to say.
What other kind of insights can you offer me on that?
When I wrote This Life, I remember I was really into Jack White at the time. So I was like, I want to write like a Jack Whitey / soul type of classic rock song that feels like you went to church, and it feels a little sloppy and a little loose and a little dirty.
After a couple of decades running in the fast-paced rock and roll world, you launched your own YouTube channel a year or two ago, and it focuses on a healthier lifestyle message. Let's talk about that.
So I started a YouTube channel. It's been 2 full years. I'm on my 3rd year now. I call it season 3. Each year is a season. And the reason I started my YouTube channel was because I started to clean up my health 2 years prior. And I started to wake the heck up in my life and get rid of all the toxicity in my body, all of the toxicity in my brain. Hopefully, some is still hanging around now. But so I went on a keto diet to try to get my health together. I was overweight. I had lost a lot of weight right away. And I wanted to tell everyone, Chris, about this.
And you address various components of healthy diet.
Sure. The main thing, besides the keto diet, that I talk about on my YouTube channel thus far is the carnivore diet, which, if you've never heard of it before, it's basically keto 2.0, a more strict version, or a better or more healing quickly version of the keto diet. But the name throws people off because, if you're on keto, you do have to eat a lot of vegetables. When you're on carnivore, you're not eating many vegetables, or sometimes any at all. And the reason I wanted to talk about carnivore on my channel is because I had started on keto. I did that for 2 years. Then I went over to carnivore to amp it up even further because I still had high blood pressure. I had lost 55 pounds, but I still had high blood pressure, eczema, and a couple other little problems. So I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and Jordan Peterson was on there, who I absolutely love, and Sean Baker, 2 separate episodes. And Joe Rogan himself, all 3 of them were on the carnivore diet. I said, what the hell is this thing? So I found out that the carnivore diet is eating meat, dairy, and eggs, leaving off most vegetables if you're still having trouble like I was. So I did go on this diet, and it took away my high blood pressure. And so that is the long and short of it.
Gotcha. And you offer all of just a trove of information on all these different diet-related topics on your YouTube channel.
I do. A lot of people go to diet channels, especially now with the overwhelming popularity of the keto diet. It's so funny, Chris. I want a side note right here that when I started keto several years ago, I think it's 5 now, nobody knew what it was. So I figured, okay, let me try this out. If it works out, maybe I could start talking about it. But my friends made fun of me. what is this keto thing? Now it's everywhere. It's on packages and everything says keto, and you got to be very, very careful of those products.
What I find particularly impressive and inspiring about your story is your recent hardcore commitment to sobriety. Would you care to offer the congregation a testimony?
So 5 years ago, I quit drinking. It was on Andrew's birthday, and I wanted to give him a good gift. So I quit drinking. And at the same time, I went on the keto diet. So going sober and going low carb or keto were one and the same. I wanted to just go for it, right? And really do this right. So that helped that I did both at the same time.
Did you have a drinking issue that needed to be dealt with?
Oh, yes, Chris, I drank for 30 years. 30 years I drank at least a few times a week without fail. Like, I never didn't drink.
Would you consider...
And I'm not saying I drank every night, but I honestly drank for 30 years.
Would you go as far as to say that maybe you had a drinking problem?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the word alcoholic because I am one. There's only one reason why you would hate that word, and that's because it resonates with you. So yes, absolutely. I had a drinking problem. I definitely had all the problems that come with that, blackouts, not remembering half of my life, and I'm very, very open about this. Getting alcohol out of my life was the single best decision I ever made, besides going on carnivore and keto and becoming spiritual and all these other things.
Sure. Well, we are speaking on what is today, Monday, the 7th of March, and next week, the 14th, I will celebrate 18 years of sobriety. So
Wow.
that is why your message, your testimony, your words of encouragement that you are offering to other people who are struggling with alcohol issues. That's why I applaud that mission so much, and why your words speak to me so loudly.
Thank you. That's a nice compliment. I sometimes feel like it's fallen on deaf ears.
That's okay, and I'll tell you why that's okay. Because there's a lot of people who will say the emperor is wearing a lovely suit of clothes, but it only takes that one person to go, no, the dude's naked. And as soon as that one person steps out and speaks truth, even if that truth still is not resonating with the masses, it will resonate to a select audience who really needs it, who's really seeking that inspiration and encouragement.
Thank you for saying that. Because,
Okay.
it feels lonely, and it's not popular. No one wants to hear, you're drinking too much, because most people are, is what I think. And that's a very bold statement, but I kind of think it's true.
But when you wake up and your face is stuck to the pillowcase with your own vomit, those are the words you might not want to hear, but those are the words you absolutely need to hear.
I think a few people have said, well, what made you finally, because we know, for 30 years I knew I had a problem with drinking. When I'm 19 and all of my friends, we can't get beer, but I keep trying all night long while we're hanging out to get beer, and I'm the only one of my friends who gives a shit if we get beer. I knew I had a problem way back then as a teenager. So I was fully aware the entire time that I had a problem with drinking. But something happened to get me to quit, besides all of the mishaps in those 30 years, which there were plenty. We were planning to go to Ohio, to Serpent Mound. Now, Serpent Mound, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, is a mystical place where there's an energy pool there. It's a very spiritual place. It's maybe an ancient burial mound of the Native Americans. It's got energy. So we were going to go there, and I'm thinking, it's in Amish country, by the way, and I'm thinking, this is going to suck. And I'm like, where's the drinks going to be? Like, where are we going to drink? Like, what kind of party is this going to be? So that was one thing. I didn't want to go on vacation with my husband to a spiritual place, even though I was trying to become enlightened, because the drinking wasn't there. So this is when I was still drinking, so I wasn't very enlightened. But that was one hint that I was kind of being an asshole.
That's more than a hint. That's a huge red flag.
Yeah. And then the other thing, Chris, was right before that, Andrew said I got drunk at home and that I kicked him out of the house. Now, I have no recollection of this whatsoever. I thought he was lying for the longest time. I thought he was like being either funny or like manipulating me into stopping drinking. And it was true. He's like, Misty, you kicked me out of my own house. Now, Andrew is a good husband, and I would have no reason to ever kick him out of the house. I mean, he should have left me years ago for my drinking, but he did not, so I love him for that. But I kicked him out of the house, or I tried to, and I didn't remember any of this. So it was a blackout that had scared me to the very rock bottom. This was my rock bottom, and I said, that's it. This is not going to happen anymore. This is not improving my life. It never has. And when I recounted things from my past that I had messed up on, it was always, even fighting, arguing, was always because I was drinking.
Rock bottom is a great place to be if you can get your shit together and get up off the floor.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about rock bottom, so I feel like I've been reborn, to be honest with you, not to get too woo-woo, but like I really, really feel like I'm just like waking up to life in the last 5 years.
It is not preachy. It's not judgmental. Your message is offering people an opportunity to get their lives back, to get off that rock bottom, open the drapes, let the sunshine come in, and get back in the game again.
Thank you. I still feel like, no one wants to hear this shit. I still feel like that. I really do.
Before I let you bounce out of here, I was wondering if I could ask you one more question.
Yes.
Misty Marcus, are you ready to play the Big Five?
I'm ready to play the Big Five, Chris.
Okay. Now, for those who have not heard our little show before, the Big Five is a fun little segment where guests are allowed to reveal the deepest, darkest aspects of their souls. I got 5 questions that will reveal all of this to us today.
I'm so nervous.
As you should be. This is going to get rough. Number 5.
Yeah.
Rumors or Hotel California?
Hotel California, because that's one of my favorite songs, so I have to go with that one.
Fair enough. You have done some traveling over the years in your fast-paced rock and roll lifestyle, and you and Andrew go on your getaway excursions and so on. So when you're on the road, Waffle House or Cracker Barrel?
Cracker Barrel.
Okay. Any additional insights to that?
Yeah, I had a very bad experience at Waffle House.
I don't know if I even want to know. Don't taint my Waffle House experience
I know,
now.
everyone loves it.
Okay, we're going to go back to your dark past when you were the wild party girl. Okay?
Okay.
Bud Light or Mick Light?
Bud Light. It's neither one now.
Very good. Let's move on. Number 2, we're going to go to the movies. You gave away your age a little while ago. I would not have asked you that, but we know...
I was wondering if you were going to ask me how old I am, because most women don't answer it, but since I'm being so forthcoming these days, Chris, I'm kind of proud that I'm 49.
As you should be.
I was around in the 80s and the 90s.
Okay, as an 80s girl going to the movies, 16 Candles or Pretty in Pink?
16 Candles. Oh my
Okay.
God. Even though I like both, I love John Hughes.
Were those both Molly movies?
I think they're both John Hughes movies. Yeah, they're both Molly movies, yes.
Yeah, she was something else.
Oh, yes. But John Hughes, we need another person if you're out there, guys. Who's the next John Hughes? I think movies suck now.
Right. Who could possibly be capable enough to come up with something as brilliant as Breakfast Club?
Oh, man. I got to watch it again. I've been thinking about it lately.
Yeah. Invite me up to Tennessee sometime. I'll hang out with you and Andrew. We'll watch Breakfast Club.
Chris, you want to come to Tennessee? Because we're going to watch the Breakfast Club.
All right. Let's go. Maybe...
You're invited anytime you want.
I will take you up on that. All right. Misty Marcus. Number 1. Everything is writing on this question. Number 1 in the Misty Marcus edition of the Big 5. You are an 80s girl growing up. Tiffany or Debbie Gibson?
Okay, Tiffany, but I have to tell you why. Please let me tell you why.
Okay.
I looked exactly like Tiffany when she was Tiffany Renee, and we saw her when I lived in San Diego when I was 12. She looked exactly like me looking in the mirror. I would stare at the album cover. My parents met her at the Big Oak Ranch before she was famous, and they just flipped out because I wasn't there. And they met her and took pictures with her, and she looked like my doppelganger.
Did we like her music?
No. But I did like, I think we're alone now.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't it in the mall?
Yeah, of course it was at the mall. Debbie Gibson was no slouch, though.
Yeah.
Misty Marcus, thank you so much for calling in today. You are a rock star. Thanks for sharing all of your insights. I am definitely looking forward to the new Black Eyed Soul record. In the meantime, where can we find you and your band online?
BlackEyedSoul.com is our website. On Instagram, you can go to Misty Love Style. The name of the YouTube show that I have is called Love Style, all one word. And then on TikTok, I'm at Misty Marcus.
Fantastic. Let's get together and do this again soon.
Absolutely.
All right.
Fun.
Misty Marcus, I love you. Talk to you later.
Love you too. Bye-bye, Chris.
And that puts the wraps on another episode of Conversations. Thanks to Misty Marcus for calling in. You can find Misty online at blackeyedsoul.com. A big high five to my producer, Liam Cannon. He puts the show together at Janus Studios in Palm Bay, Florida. You can find this interview and a slew of my other features at d13.net. And you can find me on the Twitter at authorlong. Once again, thanks for listening to Conversations.